Everyone, Phi Farley here, going over best strategies that I use for halftime wagering in NCAA basketball. A very unique opportunity to cash in does NCAA basketball create. So I want to go through that, talk about the math, talk about how the system works. I shouldn't say system, I don't like the word system, but how it works, and give you some examples of how to utilize a halftime wagering strategy for NCAA basketball. So first, though, if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't hit the notification bell for my videos, do so. Check that out. Get my daily best bets coming out in NCAA basketball, which will go all the way through into the tournament, as well as NBA's best bets. Those are out there as well, so you can follow along throughout the rest of the season. Now let's get into what this is exploiting, because this is a unique approach that really only comes up in NCAA basketball. Doesn't even come up in the NBA because basketball is very momentous. One team will get an advantage, will get running, get scoring, and they'll go on runs. In fact, the only thing that will break that up is halftime and timeouts. And you'll see coaches use that, timeouts, to break up the other team's momentum, right? That's pretty common. But what we can expose is if both teams are either hot or cold, they then go into halftime and then make an adjustment in the second half. And that strategy that changes at half creates opportunity in the second half that is very unique in NCAA basketball because it's only a 40-minute game, and because that momentum can go so quickly that halftime play ends up being profitable for sports bettors in the second half. So let's talk about what that looks like on the math side. So I'm going to repeat this, so if you don't follow it the first time, you can follow it the second time. If the first half total added to the halftime total in the second half still falls 15 points underneath the game total, go over in the second half. So again, if the first half total added to the halftime play is 15 points under the game total, go over in the second half. Now, what that's doing is saying the first half went in so low that the second half play, which is usually set at a standard number, usually the same as what it would be preset before the game, the teams make adjustments at halftime, come out running, and end up doing a lot more scoring than they did in the first half. A lot of times teams are throwing up bricks, they're making adjustments, travel, whatever it may be, but they don't miss those shots in the second half. They start falling. They start creating opportunities. Whether a team's playing really good defense in the first half, that's a lot of energy. They don't have that energy to maintain that the rest of the game. So the second half comes out, energy comes down, they reduce to the mean, over hits. So again, if the first half total combined to the second halftime play is still 15 points underneath the game total, go over in the second half. Now I'm going to give you an example of this. Happened the other day. It was January, I believe, 7th. Coppin State, Delaware State, going to halftime 21-27, a total of 48. Coppin State down 6 to Delaware State. Halftime play was 71. So we add those two together. That's 48 and 71 is 119. Game total was 138 and a half. So there we are. What's that? We're 17, sorry for on the spot math, 17 and a half points down. That's more than 15 points. Take the over. They end up hitting 76 in the second half, going over that total. Now, again, we want to apply logic at the end of this. Sometimes we have really low scoring teams and they can't make the number low enough. So sometimes I'll add a caveat to say that game total has to be over 130 to 135. I don't want those games where the total is set at 120 and the teams score 40 and the game total, the second half is 62. It would apply there, but boy, those teams play really good defense. And I don't know that I want to apply it there. So you do apply a little bit of logic as that goes on. All right, so let's talk about a second strategy that I actually like even more, but it's more rare. All right, this is two teams that come out on fire. They are running, they're hitting threes, they got open shots nonstop, and we go into halftime typically in the 90s or high 80s before that halftime line comes out. If that halftime line comes out and it's 7 points lower than their halftime score, then go under in the second half. And the reason for that is adjustments made at halftime. Those 3-pointers will not fall in the second half like they did the first half. So there's an adjustment made by both teams' defense and the offense to create opportunities and get a higher field goal percentage, slow the game down, get more control of the game if it's running nonstop. Again, we want to use logic on this. Typically, again, if the game total's over 170, I don't like to use this strategy. However, I'm going to give you an example on this and how this applies. And this was just yesterday was Syracuse-Duke. Halftime was 48-49. Which is 97 total. Halftime play was 80.5. Way under that it way overperformed in the first half. Running. Second half ended up going under. However, I will say this, they did go to overtime and eventually hit the over, but the strategy still worked nonetheless. So there you go, 2 betting strategies for halftime totals plays, the under and the over. I'd like to use this video as an opportunity to throw these games down in the comments. If you see these opportunities come up, throw them down in the comments and we will keep a running total of how they're doing throughout the season, as these have been really profitable for me throughout this entire season so far. So let's keep a running tally down below, see what we can do if we can make some money here throughout the second half of the season. All right, good luck everyone. We'll see you again soon.